Daki Tunyen Ife Sunam Ki
Dola Bencir
Sange
Dubarsyo
Sange Chudam
Chudang Zoki Choknam
La Janchu
Janchu Badu Dapni Japsu Ji
Daki
Chunyen Ipe Sunam Ki Dola
Bencir Sange
Dubarsyo. Okay, thank you, Alice.
Thank you, teacher.
So, yeah, so let's repeat, right? Class 7 is called the object that we deny. And the reason we learn this is because we want to understand what is emptiness.
Okay.
And emptiness is defined as the absence of the object that we deny.
The absence of the object we deny.
Yeah. Okay, let's dissect them. Okay, let's open up, break down the meaning.
Okay.
So the object that we deny is also, we can understand the object that we deny as the something which is impossible. Okay, object that we deny means object that we deny means it is something impossible. So emptiness is the absence of this something which is impossible. Or actually, we can define emptiness as the absence of the object that we deny. And in this case, object that we deny in Tibetan is called gaccha. Okay, so emptiness is defined as the emptiness of gaccha. Emptiness of gaccha. And if we refer back to the exchange conversation between Emil and me in the group, we are saying that emptiness is defined as the absence of gaccha, and therefore there are different kinds of emptiness according to how you define the gaccha. All right, but when we want to say that the ultimate emptiness, ultimate emptiness, so that means there are non-ultimate emptiness. Yeah. So when we talk about the real emptiness, then we have to follow the definition by the consequence branch of the middle way, or we call it higher middle way. All right. Means those not under this category is considered not the real emptiness, although we don't say that openly, right? But we understand that in our lineage, we are using the higher middle way, which is the consequence branch of middle way. And the reason why we use this is because you will see that the definition of higher middle way or the consequence branch of middle way is very sophisticated. Very sophisticated. Sophisticated means it can explain everything. It can explain everything. All right. So we'll see. We'll see. Those of you who have attended DCI 7, I think you have learned this before, but this is the source in the ACI. So let's go together. Let's go through together. All right. So let's continue. Now, before we go into the topic of gaccha, let's review again, right? When we have the direct perception of emptiness, we get a title of Arya, right? It's called stream enterer, which is the third path of the 5 path. Third path of the 5 path, okay? And this is path of seeing. After path of seeing, you enter into path of habituation, which is number 4. And this is when you go through the once returner. Stream enterer means you will come back maximum 7 times. Once returner means you come back once to the desire realm and the form realm. And the non-returner means you only return to the formless realm And finally, on the fifth path, which is path of normal learning, you become arhat, or foe destroyers, or enemy destroyer, and you enter into the nirvana state, right? Yeah. So this is the result of practicing good karma. I would say the result of practicing unstained good karma. All right, unstained good karma, white good karma, white good karma. All right. So there's a reason why we want to learn all these things, right? And then we also want to review again bodhicitta, right? So it's like driving under the influence of bodhicitta, or DPE under the influence of bodhicitta. Okay, I just learned this term. It's called DUI, driving under the influence, and yeah, and I think this is something good, something important, something interesting. Is that when we are driving, right? I don't know, a lot of people when they drive, if you drive, I think you can identify with this problem. If you're not driving, you are a very nice person. But the moment you start driving, when people cut through your lane, when people don't give way, when people drive too slowly, when people drive on the wrong lane, what is your normal reaction? You get angry, you get agitated. You start to horn. You start to flick the light. Some people even use the hands finger, to show some hand mudra. And they start to scold. I don't know your experience, but this is pretty common. The temper seems to be very short. And that is called driving under the influence of negativity. And it's like us, So, but here we want you to drive under the influence of bodhicitta. Under the influence of bodhicitta. If people want to overtake you, give way, let them overtake, If people don't give you way, although it is your right of way, let be it, Maybe they urgently need to go somewhere. Let them go first. So I mean, normally I don't drive outside US. I only drive in US because I had no choice. Sometimes, I can feel it. Oh, this person overtake me, But sometimes when I give way, it feels so good. Okay, a good friend of ours got a speeding ticket because of the speeding, and then not to get into the point. They were in order for the record not to be. I mean, there's a way for you to erase the record if you're a first timer by attending a defensive driving course, which is 4 hours long, and then they learn this term called DUI. So it's kind of interesting. All right, let's continue. So this topic of gacha, or impossible things, yeah, so we define emptiness is empty of gacha, okay, or the thing that was never there that you thought was there. So we need to identify what the gacha is so that we can understand what emptiness is. The problem with emptiness is that it is negative. It is empty. It is negative. It is not something positive. When it is positive, it's easy for you to identify, Positive means I have a cup. The shape is a cup. It is quite a tall cup, and the color is black. our brain is used to it, you know. I mean, or we are trained, we are brought up to think in this way. Yeah. But when we talk about negative, it's not so easy to define. Although our mind actually works better when we can understand the negative. So when I show you this cup, I can say that it is not short, it is not red color, it is not made of metal or porcelain, you know, it is not square. So the way we think is that our mind will start to eliminate things. Those of you who are in advanced level 2, you can appreciate this more. Our mind actually works by pushing away all the things which are not part of the object that we are trying to define. Right? So we need to learn to identify the gotcha. We need to learn to identify the things which are impossible so that we can, when we flip the thing which is impossible, we can then get into the emptiness. Oh, all of you who attended advanced level 2, does this sound familiar, you know? So you push away things which are impossible, and then you flip. When you flip, it will give you the emptiness. Right? So this is how you can understand that. And of course, we also will explore the cause and effect and gotcha in the Svatantrika school, which is we also know this as lower middle way or the independent branch of middle way. Yeah, and finally, we have the magic show example. All right. So this is how we want to approach the session today. Now, let's learn some of the term, right? What exists? What does it mean to exist? I think we are used to the term deceptive reality, and which is the same as apparent reality and the lower reality. Actually, this should be the, well, I don't know. I mean, we call it lower here because we say that you will see higher reality when you are in the direct perception of emptiness and when you can stop all your suffering, right? Now, let's go through this quickly, all right? Let's go through this quickly. And then we will go into the more details of the gotcha. So how things exist, yeah, when we think like a Svatantrika, when we think like the independent branch of the middle way, right? So in this school, let's get rid of the PowerPoint, okay? I don't really like the PowerPoint. Let's talk. I'm not a person, well, I mean, I try not to rely too much on PowerPoint. It will become a very, what do you call that, very inflexible. Okay, now, so we need to learn gotcha. We need to understand the gotcha so that we can push it away and flip to understand about the emptiness. I cannot tell you what emptiness is because emptiness is negative. We can only tell you what emptiness is not. And then you will be able to get at your conclusion. Again, I like to refer to advanced level 2 again. Stop, show, defend, okay? There is this life tool. There's this, it is in life tool 8. The second part of life tool 8 is called stop, show, and defend. What does it mean? It is referring to the way the people in the monastery learn. And this is basically the Tibetan style of learning. In school, Amelia here is, she owns a school, you know. So in the school, how do the teachers teach? First, the teacher will give you the theory and then explain how it is used and then give homework and then the students will learn and then sit for exam. Okay, this is how we learn. And this is basically the model the Western people is using. And we adopt from them. But in the Eastern side of the world, the Tibetan especially, they reverse the process. So before the teacher teaches you something, the teacher will start to throw in all the wrong examples. The teacher will throw you all the wrong examples. Emptiness is not black, 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 black. Emptiness is not emptying your mind. Emptiness is not about ignoring your feeling, you know. And after we tell you all the wrong things about emptiness, yeah, that is the stop. We stop you first. Okay, stop. These are all the wrong things. Then we show you. So this is what emptiness is all about. In fact, before we even show you, by giving you all the wrong definitions of emptiness, you should be able to come to the conclusion yourself. You should be able to know, what emptiness is all about. And finally, on the second step, then we show you, this is what emptiness is all about. And after we show you, then we sort of test you. When we show you all the wrong one, it's like testing you, you know. When we talk about emptiness, is it correct that you just have to empty your mind, you know? So we are testing you first with all the wrong examples. And then we give you the definition. And finally, the last stage called defend, we will give you final points of the definition. In Geshe Michael language is we let the opponent come back. So this is in context of a debate. Right? First, we give you all the wrong examples. And then we show you the definition, and then we let you clarify. Yeah. So it is always like a debate, right? And when we say give you wrong examples, it is always other people attacking us with all the wrong examples. And then we give them the correct definition, and then they come back to clarify with some more wrong things. So this is how we learn in the monastery, right? So emptiness, let's use the kitchen story. Okay, the kitchen story, the two husbands in the kitchen. So the story is talking about a lady working in office and also have a family, right? So one day, before leaving for home, the boss told this lady that, hey, tomorrow morning there's an important call early in the morning. We have to come early. And then the lady went home and told the children that the next day they have to wake up early, get ready, so that mommy can go to office earlier. But the next morning, the children didn't behave, they didn't get ready, and this mother was angry. So she actually planted the seeds of anger to the children. 1 week later, after hard work in office, she went to buy all the groceries, and then when she arrived home, the moment she opened the kitchen door, the husband shouted at her, right? You are stupid. At that moment, how many husbands are there in the kitchen, right? We say there are two. The first husband is what? The first husband to the lady is that I don't do anything, you know, I just came back from work, I'm whole day, I'm feeling tired, but I still went to buy grocery. I entered the kitchen and you shouted at me, you say I'm stupid. In fact, you are the one who is stupid. You're at home, you're watching TV, you're not doing anything, you're not helping. Right? But is this the real husband? And then we say there's another angry husband who is angry because of the seeds that this lady, because of the negative seeds that this lady planted the week before, that ripen now in the form of an angry husband. So this is the second husband. The first husband is the angry husband who is hungry, who was trapped in the traffic jam before arriving home, who got a scolding from his boss in office, and there are many other reasons. So what names do we give them? The first husband we say is impossible husband. The second husband we say is a seeds husband, is the dependence origination husband. Now I want you to, I think a lot of you have heard this story before, but I would like you to focus on the first husband, the emptiness husband. Why do we say this is an emptiness husband? Because we say a husband who is angry because he's hungry is empty, is not there, correct? Now I want you to look at it from the other angle. This husband is called emptiness, is because this husband is impossible, right? This husband is a gotcha. All right, this husband is a gotcha. He is an impossible husband. So what is emptiness? Emptiness is the absence of this impossible husband. When we look at this husband, when we look at this impossible husband and we think that he is there, we have not seen emptiness yet. We don't have the perception of emptiness yet. The moment we realize that this husband is impossible and he's not there in the kitchen, listen to me. The moment you realize that this husband is impossible and he's not in the kitchen, you have a direct perception of emptiness. All right. So it's not just thinking that the husband is impossible. Okay, that's not enough. Besides thinking that the husband is impossible, you also need to realize that this impossible husband is not even there. So the absence of the impossible husband is the definition of emptiness. Therefore, this impossible husband has another name called gotcha. Got it? Cool? All right. Looks like only Emil is nodding. The rest of you, okay, Ivo is nodding. The rest of you, you follow me? Okay. Those of you who are convenient, please turn on your video so at least I can see that you are nodding, you know. Today's topic is kind of heavy, but I really want you to understand this, you know. A lot of people, you know, in our system, a lot of people like to say, hey, I want to have DPE, you know. I want to have DPE, but the problem is DP is not something very difficult. DP is your ability in the kitchen to see that this angry husband, this impossible husband, is not even there. A lot of time when you see something, you keep on telling yourself, yeah, this is impossible. This is impossible. It is coming from my seeds. But a better approach is to even think that this impossible husband is not even there. Okay. Those of you who attended advanced level 1, I discussed a lot of advanced level here. I think because I love Geshe Michael teaching. In advanced level 1, what do we learn? We learn the dependent origination, which is the cause and effect. We learn the apparent reason. We learn the deeper reason, which is the dependent origination or the cause and effect. And we learn the emptiness, right? We learn the emptiness. If we use the example in advanced level 1, we say that the leaking pipe, right? The pipe which is leaking, the leaking pipe. The apparent cause is the material is substandard. The material is lower quality, right? And I happen to be the unlucky one who received this material, this subpar quality. Therefore, the pipe is leaking and not my neighbor's house pipe. So that is the apparent reason. The deeper reason is what? This pipe is leaking because I didn't help my neighbors when their household appliances was broken or was having problem. But when we use it on the third approach, the third step is that this leaking pipe is impossible if I don't have the seeds. And one step forward is that this leaking pipe, this impossible leaking pipe, which is not coming from my seeds, is not even there. The absence of the impossible. That is when you have the direct perception of emptiness. Yeah, it's not just thinking that it is impossible, but you need to think that it is impossible and it is not even there. Okay, so you need to add one more step. All right, so a lot of time when we see something wrong, we like to tell ourselves, yeah, this is my seeds, all right? Not enough. Yes, it's a good step. It is a good first step. Something wrong, it is my seed. I left my Kindle and my new bag that my wife bought for me. I left them in the restaurant last night. At the moment, I felt angry with myself. Why was I so stupid to leave the bag behind, you know? But that is apparent reason. What is the deeper reason? The feeling at that moment was that I like to scold my wife when she leaves something behind. So I planted the seeds. But now, one step further is that it is impossible. It is this impossible situation where I was so stupid and leave my bag behind. It's not even there. It's not even there, you know? Another example. Some of you might have heard it before, okay? We were on the plane flying from, I forgot, Jakarta to somewhere. And then suddenly the plane jam brake, you know jam brake? You hit on the brake and then the people actually got pushed forward, you know, jam brake. And we heard bum, 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 something drop, something heavy drop. And then my wife suddenly, where's my phone, you know? And of course, we couldn't find at that moment. And after a while, because the plane had to take off, everybody had to sit down, so we cannot search. At that moment, what I had in my mind is that, at first it's anger. How can you be so careless? The plane is going to take off and then you didn't keep your phone properly, you know? But, okay, that is the apparent reason. The deeper reason, the seeds reason, the cause and effect reason. Yeah. But I change it in another way. I say, yeah, my wife, Cynthia, doesn't have the seeds to lose things. She doesn't steal from people. She doesn't steal from people. So this is something impossible. This is, Cynthia losing her phone is impossible if she doesn't have the seeds. And she doesn't have the seeds. And it will not happen. And then one step further, based on advanced level 1, is that this situation is also absence. It's not there. You know, what was there was that I have the seeds to scare people when people lose their things. That's why I feel scared. I feel angry. I feel not comfortable. So it is the absence of Cynthia losing her phone. It's something impossible. That is a gotcha, you see? Yeah. So I think what we are learning here is that first you appreciate the apparent reason, the surface reason, and then you understand the deeper reason, which is the seeds reason, or we call it the cause and effect reason, or we call it the dependent origination reason. And then step number 3 is to turn it into emptiness, the absence of the impossible. All right. So this is what Gakcha is all about. Now I want to go back to the PowerPoint. Okay. So there are 4 traditional Buddhist schools in the ancient times, and we are going to focus on Svatantrika, which is the independent branch of the middle way, all right, which is the number 4 school, the higher school, but this is the lower part, lower side, right? The reason is because this teaching, the perfection of wisdom, is under the independence branch, which is the Svatantrika. Okay, so here we say that the cause and effect in this school require two things. It must appear to you. It must appear to you, okay? You see, this sentence itself means what? Means it is coming from its side. It must appear to you with an unimpaired mind for you to perceive it. So now you understand why this is considered lower middle way, right? It must appear to you coming from its side. And what does it mean unimpaired? Means not influenced by any hallucinations, disease, alcohol, poison, drugs, or extreme bad thoughts. Means your mind is clear. So first, the thing has to appear to you. Second, you have to see it with a clear mind, okay? And of course, Geshe Michael, when explaining it, he threw in some interesting idea. For example, how to prove that something exists. You can use 4 steps to create it. How to prove that something does not exist. You cannot use 4 steps to create. I think this is pretty cool, you know? Yeah. Angry husband. Can you use 4 steps to create an angry husband? Cannot. So he doesn't exist. Now, I mean, angry husband who is angry because he is hungry, you cannot create it. But angry husband, because you scolded your children last week, exists because when you scold your children, you are planting the seeds, right? So this is cool. So how things don't exist, according to the Svatantrika, the independent school, independent branch of the middle way school, is that the Gakcha, the impossible thing, which is what emptiness is empty of, is that something that could exist through its own unique way, yeah, something that can exist uniquely without simply being established by an unimpaired state of mind, meaning that it exists on its own without us looking at it. Okay, got it? At first we say it has to be there and we have to see it with an impaired mind. This Gakcha says, this school says the Gakcha, the impossible thing, is for it to exist in a unique way without us looking at it. Okay, so if you want to look at the numbers, right? Okay, we say that, so when I say that it has to appear to you and you need to see it with an impaired mind, it implies 50-50. 50%, 50%. 50% it has to appear to your eyes. 50% you have to look at it with an impaired mind. The Gakcha say it exists through its own unique way without us looking at it. Means it's 100% here and 0% here. Svatantrika, independent branch, say it has to be 50-50. 50 appear to our eyes, 50 we have to look at it. Gakcha is saying that appear through its own unique way, which is 100, and we don't have to see 100 and 0. Okay, so this is Gakcha. All right. So Emil, what is the emptiness of these Svatantrika people? What is the emptiness of this independent branch people? It is the absence of the Gakcha, meaning that, yeah, you say?
Yeah, teacher. Meanings that
it is the absence of the,
like the
yeah, so
of the thing, of the object. Yeah.
it is the absence of the 100 and 0. You see, it is the absence of 100 and 0. 100 and 0 is defined that as impossible thing. So the emptiness, according to the Svatantrika people, is 100, the absence of 100 and 0. All right. Yeah. Okay. So that is the Gakcha. That is emptiness. All right. Okay. We have another second Gakcha based on Svatantrika. Flowers show me flowerness. They have to look like flowers, and I have to see them as flowers. They have to look like flowers to my eyes, and I have to see them as flowers. Okay, so basically 50-50. They have to appear like flowers, 50%, and I have to see them as flowers, another 50%. All right. So of course, the Gakcha of this is, the emptiness of this is that a flower which appear 100% and 0% from us, that is empty. And that is emptiness, right? According to Svatantrika. So two Gakchas here. There is a pen in the room appearing as pen. Appearing as pen without us having to see it as a pen. Yeah, follow? Yeah, so this is the first, this is the Gakcha based on Svatantrika. And of course, the second Gakcha is basically the, later we talk about that. We talk about the jealousy, okay, the jealousy. The story is that the husband was actually playing with a phone in the room, and then the wife walk in, see the husband playing in the phone. What else exists? Okay, a husband who is texting before the wife walk into the room, and then the wife walk into the room and see him. So what is the Gakcha here? The Gakcha is the wife think that the husband is texting a beautiful girl. Yeah, without the wife having been jealous in the past, right? So the wife think that the husband is texting the girl and she feels jealous. So the Gakcha is, the impossible thing is the wife seeing the husband texting another lady and she feels jealous without her having the seeds to be jealous. There's a Gakcha. And what is Nirvana? Nirvana happens when the husband puts down the phone, walks into the bathroom to take shower, and the wife takes out the phone and so actually the husband was texting, was doing order in Amazon to buy gift for her birthday. Okay, so when the wife realized that, the anger is gone, and that is Nirvana. Okay, so the emptiness here is the absence of the image of the beautiful girl who never did, does not now, or could ever exist in existence. Okay, so pop out of existence means absence, not there. The absence of the impossible, that is the emptiness. Okay, so this is the second Gakcha as an example. Okay, let's go through more difficult stuff. Oh no, this is the magic show. Okay, let's go to the magic show first before we dive deeper, all right? So in the ancient textbook, they use this magic show metaphor, story of a magic show. Because the teaching came from India, and in the olden days, there are those magicians in India on the roadside performing magic for people to see, and then they will contribute money, right? So there are three kinds of people in the magic show. Or basically the story is there's a magician. He turns his stick. He turned his stick into a horse. In the Indian days, it's not horse, it's a cow, right? It's a cow, but let's use a horse. Geshe Michael used a horse. So the magician turned his stick. He put in some powder, and then he put in some some mantra. So he threw in powder, he put in some mantra, some spell to turn the stick into her horse. Now, the audience watching the magic show see the horse because they are under the influence of the spell. The magician who performs the spell sees the horse under the spell that he created himself, but he doesn't believe it because he knew that it is his stick. And then after a while, there are passers-by walking by. They were not affected by the spell. In fact, they didn't even see a horse. They only saw a bamboo stick. Okay? So this metaphor is trying to tell us. Okay, let's go to the next page. So the audience are like people on the path of accumulation and preparation. Yeah. They need a bamboo stick to see a horse. They see the bamboo stick as a horse. This is like a lot of us now, right? We are under the spell. We are under the influence of the spell, under the negative influence of the negative emotion. We don't see a bamboo stick as a bamboo stick, but we see a bamboo stick as a horse. We don't see our wife or husband as an angel. We see them as a knowing person. The magician is like someone who has just come out of the perception of emptiness, direct perception of emptiness. So the audience is on path 1 and 2. Magician is someone who has just gone through path of seeing, which is number 3, and now going into path number 4, which is path of habituation. During the path number 3, path of seeing, they see the bamboo stick and not the horse. But after the DPE, they see a horse, but they don't believe it is a horse because they have seen that it is actually a bamboo stick. And of course, the passerby is the metaphor of an arhat or a Buddha. Arhat or Buddha. Or no, there are 3 things, right? The passerby represents somebody on path of seeing, or number 3, DPE, or an arhat or a Buddha. They don't see, they are not influenced by the spell. They are not influenced by the negative emotion. They don't see a horse. They see a stick. They see the original stick. Okay, so this is basically a famous story on the metaphor using the magician, okay, to understand all these different beings, different achievement, all right? So Svatantrika, which is the independent branch of the middle way school, has this idea of 50-50. 50% out there, materials, raw materials, which has to appear as flowers or appear as a angry husband. And then there's another 50%, which is here, our mind. We need to see it as something. We need to see it as a flower. We need to see it as a angry husband. So this is Svatantrika. Now, I want to go through this. This is more difficult but more fun. So this is all the definition of emptiness according to different schools. And when we say definition of emptiness, you will be able to understand the gacha of each school. You will be able to understand the different gacha of different school, so that when you realize the absence of the gacha, you go into the emptiness, the direct perception of emptiness according to that particular school. Or I think we should change the term. It's not direct perception of emptiness. It has to be direct perception of absence of the gacha. Wow, complicated, huh, Emil? So let's understand this, okay? We are not talking about emptiness here. Well, yes, sometimes we say the definition of emptiness according to different school, but maybe to make it more comfortable, we should use the term that we want to understand the meaning of the absence of the gacha of each individual school, okay? So there are basically four traditional schools, four schools traditionally, and of course, the number four, we can divide into two, independent and implication or consequence, right? The first two are the Hinayana, the smaller wheel, and the second two are the Mahayana, the greater way, right? The smaller way and the greater way. Hinayana and the Mahayana. So the Hinayana, the detailists, we call it Abhidhamma scholar, the detailists, or Geshe Michael call it the accountants. Yeah. To them, the absence of gacha means what we seek to see as having no existence is any self which is unchanging, singular, and independent. Wow, so complicated, huh? I hope Rini and Ivo can translate. Okay, you see the term. Okay, let's not get confused with that term, okay? Don't get discouraged. My job here is to make it interesting and fun and easy to understand, okay? So that basically the detailist means that this is basically a cause and effect. Okay, listen to me carefully again. What we seek to see as having no existence is anything which doesn't have cause. Okay, easier, right? Anything which doesn't have cause. Unchanging, singular, independent means they don't have cause. So if you understand the cause and effect, then you are in the detailist school. So the emptiness according to detailists is the absence of things that do not have cause. Okay, so that is a gacha. How about the sutras? Or we call them Sautantrika. Swatrantika. I think I have a spelling error. Let me change. Oops, hold on. Let me change. Sautantrika, Swatrantika. All right. Okay, good. Let me show you again. Okay, here, yeah. Swatrantika, Sautantrika. Okay, so to the sutras, what we seek to deny is something that can stand on its own, something which exists in a substantial way. What does it mean? Listen carefully. What we seek to deny is something that we can control. Something that we can control, right? Something which exists in a substantial way. Here, the gacha is what? Things, the impossible of things that we can control all the time. Maybe let me give you an example. For the detailist, it is impossible for things to last forever. Yeah. So it is impossible for unchanging. Unchanging refers to permanent, right? Permanent. So it is impossible for things to last forever. Means that there are things will last and things will change somehow. The sutras say it is impossible for things, for us to control everything. There are, okay, maybe number one. Okay, let's go back. Yeah, my wife said I need to give more example. Let's talk about this. It's impossible for things to last forever. Yeah, so I don't know. Some of you, if you have any example, I need to have the seeds so that I can always be not hungry. Okay. No, I think, yeah, that's a good example. So I need to always plant the seeds so that I'm not hungry. I need to always eat so that I don't feel hungry. Okay, so this is basically according to the detail list, which is okay, which is good, which is good. The second school, something that can stand on its own and exist in substantial way, is like what? Like our hand, for example. We think that we have control of our hand. This is my hand, I can control. I can ask my hand to get something, to grab something. But what happens when we grow old? When we are lying down on the bed, sick, you can't even raise your hand. Yeah, so this is the gakcha for the second school. So it is impossible for us to be able to control our hands all the time. So meaning that they exist in substantial way. Now, mind only, or called yogacara or chitta matra, is that when we come to realize as heaven, what we come to realize as having no existence is any case where the subject that holds an object and the object which it holds are made from any different substance. What does it mean? It means that I think Geshe Michael used the concept of two branches. The two branches of a tree must have come from the same tree. The two branches of the tree must have come from the same tree. That means when you see something, the concept is like the seed splits into two. When you see something, that something must have come from half of your seed, and the other half of your seed make your eye look at it to be an object. So it is impossible for things to exist with different substance from what I have in my mind. What does it mean? It means that things don't happen in accident. When you see something happening out there that you don't like, or the angry husband, the seed that produced the angry husband must have come from half of the seed that break into two, and the other half produced the seed for you to see that angry husband. So when you see the angry husband and this angry husband and you seeing the angry husband, these two must have come from the same seed that breaks into two. Okay, can follow? Yeah. So this is a concept of the mind only. Mind only has another concept called the an apple with any other name is also called an apple. It's also an apple. So you can imagine an apple. We call it apple, something that we can eat. But you can also call it what? Potato. You can also call it potato, but it is still a potato. Okay, let me give you a more extreme example so you always remember. A rose. A rose is beautiful. Valentine is coming, right? So when we talk about Valentine, people think of rose. A rose is red and beautiful. But even if you call this rose as S-H-I-T, S-H-I-T, it still smells nice. It is still a rose. It still smells nice. So it doesn't matter. All right. So the gakcha of this mind-only concept is what? It is impossible for things to become another thing when we give it a different label. Can follow? It is impossible for something to become another thing when we give it a different label. It is impossible for Rose to become something else that smells bad when we give it a different name like SHIT. It still smells nice. Okay, so this is mind only, all right? All right, now then middle way, Madhyamika, we have the independent branch, and we learned it already, right? In independent branch, object has to exist in some way, and then we need to have the unimpaired mind, unaffected awareness to see it as that way. A rose need to appear as a rose to us, and we need to be able to see it as a rose. So 50-50. So the gotcha is that it is impossible for something to be not 50-50. It is impossible for something to be 100 and 0. All right? Got it? And finally, this is the concept that we are so used to it, the implication branch, the consequence branch, the prasangika branch. What we come to see as having no existence is an object which exists from its own side rather than simply existing through a concept supplied from our side. What does it mean? It means that it is impossible for things to exist without us having to sit to see it. It is impossible for things to exist without our sits opening up and projecting it out as something for us to see. Okay, so I think this is the easiest concept for all of us. This is talking about the sits. It is impossible for things to exist if we don't have the sits to see it. It is impossible for us to see an angry husband if we don't have the sits to see an angry husband. It is impossible for us to feel jealous if we don't have the sits to make people feel jealous. It is impossible for us not to be rich if we have the sits to be rich. All right. It is impossible for us not to be able to close a deal if we have a lot of generosity sits. All right. Cool. So these are basically the different gotchas and how we can understand them so that we can understand the emptiness. All right. So this is class 7. Still with me, all of you? Your brain have a lot of smoke already. I think Indonesia team and DMO team, we went through this during Mahamudra session. I don't know whether you recognize that Mahamudra session. We had this Mahamudra special session. All right. Okay, let's have a break before we continue with class 8, which is proof of emptiness, another heavy topic. But we are going to use 2 classes, okay, today and tomorrow. Okay, now let's have a break, and then we will come back after the break. Okay, let's come back. Okay, let's speak more slowly, okay? Rini never turned on the camera, but I saw Ivor can catch up. Okay, so that was class 7. Class 8, we talk about the proof of emptiness, okay? It is an interesting class. It is an interesting class, and let's go through, okay? We are going to use a lot of material that we learn in advanced level 1 and 2. So when we talk about proof of emptiness, we need to learn about logic. What is logic? Logic is the main topic of the second school, which is the sutras. And we are using this to explain about the emptiness, to prove the emptiness. Okay, and what is logic? Logic is learning to see without your eyes. A lot of people like to train their, a lot of people like to train their third eye, third eye. Basically, third eye is just logic. Yes, we see a lot of pictures or what with the third eye here. Some people even go to a certain extent, special practice to open the third eye. There are even initiation to open your third eye. Okay. But actually, it's just logic. Geshe Michael even said that when you understand the law of karma, you actually have a third eye.
You know everything that correlates.
Yeah, so you will know everything that have correlation to it, to things. So these are the topics that we are going to dive into. Let's continue, okay? In the heart of each of us lies the desire to create a perfect world. This is the mandala that we offer every time. With the eyes of logic, we can see that every war, every thought, every enemy who ever hurt us comes from an impossible thing. Which means that they never did exist, they never will exist, and they doesn't exist now. In fact, a perfect world is built upon molecules of kindness and kindness alone. This is something very difficult to understand. And I think Geshe Michael spent a lot of time when Russia attacked Ukraine. Of course, we know the Ukrainians feel very sad. But we need to see that things like war happen because of our lack of kindness. We don't mean to say that they are not kind, they are very kind. Yeah, but it's our lack of kindness. It's not them, it's our lack of kindness. All right. Okay, let's go back to Svatantrika again, the independent branch. So there is a pen in the room, appearing as a pen 100% from its side. Remember, instead of 50-50, the gacha is 150, 100 and 0, 100 and 0. This is the gacha, right? Of course, the second gacha is the example, the flower, right? Flower, don't show me flowerness. Okay, so instead of 50% the flower appear as flower and I look at it as flower, we say that the flower 100% is there and without us looking at it. This is the second gacha. Okay. So something's 100% is not coming from me. Okay, let me correct this one. It's not coming from me. It's not. Right. Mhm. Okay, so let me share again. So it's not coming from me, right? Something 100% is not coming from me. So here we talk about the wife being jealous. Yeah. So the gakcha is a husband who is suggesting to me that he's cheating on me without me having planted a seed to see it. 100% is coming from his side. So the nirvana happened when the wife sees that the husband is making a booking at a restaurant. Yeah. And then, of course, the emptiness happens when the image of the husband cheating on the wife goes out of existence. What is left is emptiness. Okay, so this is the emptiness. All right, this is the Svatantrika, the independent branch. So technically, it is not just the husband that comes from his side that you want to block. It is also the state of mind that believe in the existence of that husband. So that means it is not just we understand that something 100% coming from their own side is impossible. We want to have a state of mind that it is absent, it is not there. All right. So we want to block the state of mind that believe in the existence of that impossible husband. All right. Okay. And then if you go through the reading, in order to prove all this emptiness, we use these three knowledges, right? So we talk about the foundation knowledge. We talk about the knowledge of the path, and we talk about know of all things. Foundation knowledge is the DPE by a lower track person. So it doesn't include the bodhicitta, right? Compassion. The knowledge of the path is the DPE by a bodhisattva. So there is bodhicitta inside. The wish is inside the mind like honey inside of a donut when in DPE. And of course, we have the knowledge of all things, which is the omniscience of the Buddha. Right? This is the best teacher. Of course, we talk about all this in the context of debate, right? Topic debated must be known to all defenders, all debaters. All right. There are traditional 5 classical proof of emptiness. You can see the name here. Proof of not one nor many, Chik-tu-drel. Diamond sliver on nothing can come from causes, called Dorjes Segma. And then proof that results never start. You make a gok. And then nothing starts from any of the 4 possibilities. Gokke Shimu. And then finally, the king of logic, the reasoning of cause and effect or interdependence. Okay, just by reading all these names alone, you will not be able to understand. Okay, so that's normal. If you don't understand, it's normal. If you understand, you are abnormal. And I want to learn from you. Okay, 4 parts to every logical statement. So we cover this a lot. In fact, the first one, the emptiness of one nor many, is we learn this in advanced level 1, but let's revise them here. And then we have in advanced level 2, we talk about the 3.5 elements, right? So this is actually 3.5 elements. In the olden days, Geshe Michael still say 4 parts to every logical statement, but now he changed to 3.5 elements. Subject, assertion, and the proof or reason. And finally, the 0.5 is the example, right? Subject. We always start with subject. We need to have the subject. Consider all the restaurants in Singapore. Assertion means something that the other party, so subject has to be understood by both parties. Assertion is something that the other person doesn't know yet. We should go to an Italian restaurant, and then reason or the proof. It has to be something acceptable by the other person because he will love it. Example, he enjoyed Italian food in Sedona. So example is optional. It can be there. It can also not be there, okay? So these are the 3.5 elements. And then, of course, we have the 3 checkpoints, the check, right? We are going to talk about it. No, we are going to discuss it in the examples, but not, here. So first proof, okay, let me go back. First proof, we need to show that the subject, the proof is related, the reason is related to the subject. Okay, this is the first checkpoint. The second checkpoint is that if the reason is correct, the assertion has to be correct. Okay, this is the second checkpoint. And the third checkpoint is that if the assertion is wrong, then the reason has to be wrong. Okay, so 3 checkpoints. First checkpoint, the reason has to be related to the subject. Second checkpoint, if the reason is correct, the assertion has to be correct. The third checkpoint, the second checkpoint, if the reason is correct, the assertion has to be correct. The third checkpoint is negative. If the assertion is incorrect, then the reason cannot be correct. These are the 3 checkpoints. These are the 3 tests that we need to do to ensure that the logical statement stands. Okay. So proof of one or many, or proof of not one nor many, not one nor many. Yeah, cheek to drown. 3 knowledges. So the traditional text is using the 3 knowledges. So we are trying to prove that the 3 knowledges do not exist really. When you see this word really, you know that this is a clue that this is based on the independent branch of the middle way, right? There is a very interesting discussion about this in the next book, right? The 60 verses of, I forgot, there was 60 verses on emptiness. The 60 verses by Arya Nagarjuna. So there's a very interesting discussion. The Master Baba Viveka, who started the independent branch of the middle way school, say that we need to put the word really to clarify the meaning of our discussion. But Arya Nagarjuna was saying, or even J. Tsongkhapa was saying, hey, why do we need to have the word really? You know, they are all higher middle way, which is the consequence branch. Because when you put the word really, you are actually telling people that all these are not important because you put the word really. In fact, from the context itself, it's already understood already, and they are important. Okay, but that's a discussion for another day. So let's come back here. So the 3 knowledges that we discussed here, we covered just now: basic knowledge, the C-share, and the Lam-share, the path knowledge. So basic knowledge is the DPE without the body chitta, right? Here we call it perception of selflessness, no self. Yeah, in fact, we can say perception of absence of gaccha, right, Emil? Absence of gaccha. Path knowledge is the perception of emptiness by a bodhisattva, meaning that it has the body chitta. And finally, omniscience, the state of the mind of an enlightened being. Okay. So, of course, the conclusion is any knowledge that comes in your mind without sharing what you know, it doesn't exist. So, we said that emptiness is the absence of that non-existent thing. Yeah. Emptiness is of that knowledge that comes to your mind without sharing what you know. All right. So this is emptiness. Emptiness is the absence of the impossible thing. Impossible thing. Okay. All right. How do we prove not one nor many? How do they exist? So we say that they do not exist, right? They do not exist. Any knowledge that comes in your mind without sharing what you know, it doesn't exist. What does exist? How do they exist? We need to plant seeds, helping each other understand emptiness, debating in the form of question and answer, studying, and serving. Then we create the causes for the knowledge. Only in this way, they can exist in a deceptive way. Okay, deceptive way. Cause and effect projector kind of way, right? So we are creating the seeds, and then the result is that we have the knowledge. Now, why do we say it's deceptive? Why do we say it's deceptive? Hey, this is based on the seeds already. This is based on the cause and effect. Why we say it's deceptive? Sometimes a lot of people don't have the courage to teach ACI because a lot of code words inside. Okay, this deceptive is just to tell you that even based on the cause and effect, we still call it deceptive. It is not deceptive and ultimate when we use emptiness to explain. All right, so here we are still talking about cause and effect. Here we are still talking about planting seeds. It is considered deceptive. Although this is we call it the deeper reason. Deeper reason, okay? Okay, so now we know how they exist. Now let's look at the one or many, or we will look at that later. So when we say mirrors, okay, reflect, deceptive means what? Deceptive means we don't understand the mirrors. When you see a reflection in the mirror, we think that it is real. Yeah. So for a person who doesn't understand how things exist, yeah, it seems that knowledge and intelligence are something a person is born with, right? So people who don't understand mirror will think that this reflection is the real person. People who don't understand the mirror will think that the reflection is the real person. Just like us, if we don't understand how things work, when we look at the reflection, we will think that that is the real thing. When we don't understand that the husband, the angry husband who is hungry in the kitchen, if we don't understand that, we will think that he's real. He's actually a mirror. He's actually a reflection of the mirror of the seeds that we planted before. Okay. Okay, these are all my additions, okay? So there are 5 proofs, and let's dig into them. Oh, sorry, this is not mine. I mean, I pick it up from the reading, okay? And I think we still have time. This is going to be quite heavy. Proof of not one nor many, or called chick to drill, okay? Consider the three, which are the basic knowledge, the past knowledge, and the omniscience. They do not really exist because they exist neither as one thing, which really exists, nor as many things which really exist. Yeah, meaning that they don't exist as one because there are 3, and they don't exist as many because they actually what? They actually come from the seeds, right? There are, for example, like the reflection of a figure mirror. So here we just want to prove that they are not one, they are not many. They are not one, they are not many. All right. And we are presented with a reference from the jewel of the middle way. The things of self and other are free of being purely one or being purely many. And so they have no nature, just like a reflection. So when we want to prove something, we have two choices. We have two choices. It's called a lung-rig. Lung means we use the scripture. Rig means we use the logic. So you see, here we use the scripture. We quote from the scripture as the proof of our logic, as the proof of our statement. Whereas here, you see this is called syllogism. We use the syllogism as the logic to prove that all these three knowledge do not really exist. Okay, so this is the rig, this is the lung. The implication in the original statement is true, for if something really existed, it would have to exist either as one thing that really existed or as many things that really existed. Yeah. So this is always the case for if something exists, it must exist either as one or as many. So if we want to say that something really exists, they have to exist either as one or as many. But here we have proven that they cannot exist as one and they cannot exist as many. Therefore, they don't really exist. Yeah. I think you can expand this to many other things in life, you know. Let's say we talk about self. You can say that the self is not really existent. Why? Sugeng, for example. Sugeng cannot exist as one because Sugeng has parts. Sugeng has hands, Sugeng has head, Sugeng has body. And Sugeng cannot exist as many because Sugeng always have to be one, because you cannot just take away the head, for example. If you take away the head, Sugeng will not exist anymore. All right. So Sugeng cannot really exist because it cannot exist as one and also cannot exist as many. Okay, bring it to your meditation, okay? Second type, sliver of diamond, denying that things can come from causes. Wow, we talk about cause and effect. Now we say things can come from causes. Let's see. Consider all inner and outer things that perform a function. This is basically talking about changing things, right? Changing things. And we normally say this is the things that have cause. They do not arise ultimately. You see the term ultimately. You must be careful. For they do not arise from themselves. They do not arise ultimately from something other than themselves. So they do not arise from both, and they do not arise without both. Okay, so this is a very difficult concept. In fact, this is taken from the Arya Nagarjuna. If you have attended Arya Nagarjuna teaching, this will sound very familiar. Yeah, we use the four combinations and focusing on the cause. You see, the first is from themselves, and then not from something other than themselves, and then from both, and from neither one. All right. So sliver of diamond, we are focusing on the cause using the four possibilities. And the third one, the denial that things which exist or do not exist could arise. This is using the four, but focusing on the result. Just now, sliver of diamond, using the four, focusing on the cause. This is using the four, focusing on the result. Consider results. They do not arise ultimately because for results which exist at the time of their cause do not arise ultimately. And results that do not, so here exist, do not arise. Do not exist, do not arise. Both exist, do not arise. Both do not exist and do not arise. You see the pattern here? Yeah, the pattern here. So we always use these four permutations, and this is talking about the results. Okay, the fourth one is also very close. The denial of that things could arise through any of the four possibilities. You see, we use the four possibilities again, which we use for denying that things can come from both causes and result. The second one, we talk about the cause. The third one, we talk about result. The fourth one, we talk about causes and results. Now let's see. Consider the functional things of causes and result. Functional refers to changing things. Right? They do not arise ultimately. Now look at the four. Right? Multiple results of multiple causes do not arise ultimately. Single results of multiple causes. So multiple result of multiple causes, single result of multiple causes, multiple result of single causes, and single result of single causes. They don't arise ultimately. Okay, got it? So we use all these combinations. I hope I avoid reading mouth still can follow me. Okay. And finally, so you see from the five proof, right? The first one we talk about not one nor many. 2, 3, 4 are using the four possibilities. Number 2 on the causes, number 3 on the results, number 4 on causes and results. Now number 5 is different, okay? King of reasoning. Interdependence of the king of reasons, okay? Consider all, okay, I quoted again the same syllogism. Consider all inner and outer things that perform a function which is changing. They are not real because they are interdependent. So when they are interdependent, when they have cause and effect, when they have parts, when they have seeds, they are not real. They cannot, real here means they exist ultimately, right? So we can say, consider all inner and outer things that perform a function. They do not arise really because they arise in dependence on other things which act as their cause and condition. So here we are talking about cause and effect. Cause and effect, right? Arya Nagarjuna mentioned anything that occurs in interdependence is also peace in its very existence. Yeah, so we are just saying that they cannot occur. Real here means, not real means they cannot stand on its own. They cannot stand. Of course, we are not saying that it is not real in terms of our reality. They are not real here means they do not stand on its own. Okay. Another thing, okay, they are interdependent. Things, changing things are interdependent because they consist of a label applied to their parts. Okay, so we give a label to their parts. Therefore, they exist in dependence of their parts. If something consists of a label applied to its parts or exists in dependence of its parts, then it cannot be real. Okay, yeah. If something is real, then if something is real means something is ultimate. Then cannot have a label and cannot exist in dependence of their parts. Okay, because if something is real, then it has to exist without relying on all these two. Okay, some more. So I copy again the same sentence. If something arises in dependence on other things, means if something has a cause, which act as its cause. If something has a cause, it cannot arise really. It cannot really arise on its own, right? Substantially. Because if something were to arise really, it has to do so without relying on anything. Yeah. So we always say that if you have a cause, you cannot stand on its own. So we say that all the reasonings, 1, 2, 3, 4, that we discussed just now, ultimately all come down to the reasoning of interdependence, cause and effect, dependent origination. And this reasoning allows us to eliminate in one step both the extremes of permanence and the extreme of ending, focus towards this particular subject. What it means is that if all this reasoning help us to get rid of the two extremes so that we can walk on the middle way. The two extremes are the extremes of permanence, means not change. Extreme of permanence means things is there all the time, or the extreme of emptiness, things do not exist. Okay. All right. I think that's heavy enough. Okay. Let's stop here. People are dropping away. So difficult. So what we want tomorrow, we are going to cover some more about the proof of emptiness. Okay. And it will be easier. Okay, I promise you it will be easier. It will be more fun. Today is very dry. We talk about gaccha. We talk about emptiness. We talk about proof of emptiness. And Geshe Michael did mention. Okay, Ivo and Rini, drink first. Geshe Michael mentioned it's not easy to talk about all these things, but yet we do them. Why? Why do we discuss about all these difficult things? Why don't we just tell you, plant your seeds using 4 steps, understand that the emptiness husband is impossible? Why do we still go through all these details to discuss about all these gaccha according to different schools, emptiness or absence of gaccha according to them, which make us confused about different emptiness for different schools? Why do we learn all this? Why do we learn all this? Mostly because I think there are 2 main objectives, right? The first one is for us to plant seeds for us to one day we can have a direct perception of emptiness, the correct one, the ultimate one. Okay. And secondly, by discussing about emptiness, by thinking about emptiness, by contemplating and even meditating on emptiness, we can actually freeze our bad seeds from ripening. Cool?
Cool.
Yeah. So I hope I have confused you enough. I hope you get a bit of what I talk about and don't run away. I still hope to see all of you tomorrow. Okay, let's do a closing. Let's do a closing prayer. And who wants to help me? Su Wong, you want to help? Is it convenient for you, Sue? In office today is Sunday. Shouldn't be office. Home.
Sure.
Yeah.
What you want me to help you?
The prayer.
Pray.
Yes.
I just start with the sashi.
Yes.
Then you continue with me, right?
Yes. Please.
Okay, let's start. Sashi.
Uki chuk sing me tok tram ri rap ling si nyin de gen pa di sangge sing du mik te ulwar gi troku nam dak sing la chu par shop idang guru ratna mandala kam niryatayami. Kewa di kewa kun Sunam ye se chok chok sing Sunam yese le yung wei. Dampa kunyi to par syok. That's all. So, yeah, I mean, we just covered very quickly the 5 logics that are being that are being discussed in the scripture, ancient scripture, about the proof of emptiness. We are going to discuss about all this in ACI 13 again. Okay, we will go deeper, and then oh yeah, group photo. I forgot. Let's have a group photo. So while I'm talking, let's turn on the camera. Yeah. Thank you, Crystal. So we hope that, I mean, we are going to cover this in ACI 13. And along the way, you realize Geshe Michael is using a lot of concepts from here to create the DCI levels and the life tools. So the basic understanding of this is very important. Okay, all turn on your camera already. Inku, you want to help us? Oh no, you are using a mobile phone.
Sorry,
Right?
I can't using phone.
Yeah, okay, I'll do. Let me turn off the chat. No, hold on, turn off the chat, turn on the participant. And okay, I'm going to take the picture now. 1, 2, and 3. Yay. Okay, thank you. So yeah, understanding of this emptiness, if you can understand, is good. If you cannot understand, at least at least try to struggle. Okay, that will plant very, very good seeds. All right. So with that, have a good evening. See you again tomorrow for the last class. Yay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, teacher.
Teacher.
Thank you.